everyone, Jeff here with A Taste for Whiskey, and continuing our series on regions of Scotch, we are going to get into my favorites. And I'm just so excited because everything that you see here is from Islay.
It's from Islay.
And I love Islay. So Bob, I'm going to turn it over to you.
And where will you be in May?
Islay Festival.
You will be at the Islay Festival.
Oh, I can't wait.
The two of us are going. But anyway, right out in front of us, we have 6 of the 8 distilleries that currently have bottlings on Islay. There's a 9th one, Ardnahoe, that's so new they don't have anything in the bottle yet. But we've got 6 of them, and I'll explain that to you. But to refresh your memory on here, this is Islay. Right over here is Islay, a little island, population maybe 2,900, that has now 9 distilleries, with number 10, Portellen, coming back online soon, and number 11, a distillery called Elixir, will be coming online in a couple of years, so they'll have 11 distilleries on Islay. Again, if you recall from previous ones, Ireland's over here, so if you stand on Islay, you can see Ireland. If you go to this side of Islay, you can see Jura. There's a little straits of water that runs right between the two, and you'll be over on Jura.
I cannot wait.
Day. But so before you knew a lot about Scotch, what did you hear about Islay?
So Islay, peat, smoke, dirt, gross. Honestly, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
Band-Aid, medicinal.
Yeah.
That's a lot of the things that I heard.
And truthfully, some of the Islay Scotches have all that. Mm-hmm. When I first opened up my first taste of Lagavulin, the first thing that it brought to mind was mercurochrome. Whenever I got a cut on my arm when I was a kid, my mom would slather on mercurochrome, slap a Band-Aid on.
We were just thinking about that the other day.
And that's what it's like. So the problem with, I think, with a lot of people and their unwillingness to try Scotch, or to at least try it again, is the first time they had Scotch, they had one of the heavily peated Scotches. They had an Ardbeg, they had a Lafroig, that's described by many as it's like kissing your granny after she smoked a pack of cigarettes. You know, that's how they describe it.
That's pretty good, Bob.
And Lagavulin, there are some, Kihomin has some peatedness to it.
Right.
Bruichladdich has some peated. Octomore is their most heavily peated. Colila is a peated Scotch. Matter of fact, Colila is the largest distillery on Scotland, but you don't see a lot of bottles of single malt. You know why?
Because blended?
Because Johnny Walker owns it, and it goes all to Johnny Walker Black and Johnny Walker Double Black.
Oh.
So when you drink Double Black, you're drinking primarily Colila.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. So I like them, but my favorite distillery on Islay is Bunnahabhain. And Bunnahabhain primarily is unpeated, although they have a few peated Scotches. Bunnahabhain is primarily unpeated. Bunnahabhain is on the opposite side of Islay from Lafroig, Lagavulin, and Ardbeg, which gets the ocean currents that bring the seaweed from the Atlantic Ocean up here. So the peat down here has a lot of iodine, which gives you that medicinal characteristic. Bunnahabhain and Colila are up on this side.
Right.
Colila, however, gets its peat from down in Port Ellen, and Bunnahabhain doesn't peat their Scotches. At least on some special ones they do. So let's try a little Bunnahabhain, and we'll talk a little bit more about Islay.
But I also, this is the thing we were talking about when you were talking about the islands, where the maritime, you get more of that seaweed, but when you get more into the Islas, you get more of that medicinal.
Yep.
And why is that?
Well, again, it's primarily because the peat has a lot of seaweed in it, and seaweed has the same chemical as in iodine. So when they dry the peat, so when you're on Islay, and you will be on Islay, when you are on Islay, we will go to a peat cutting demonstration. We will go out in the bog and you will have an opportunity to actually cut some peat.
See, this is new to me. Oh my goodness.
And there's a tool they use to cut the peat, and it slices off in bricks, and then they let it dry. And people actually take the peat and they use it in their fireplaces at their house. They use it to cook. And the distilleries take this peat and they smoke, they put it underneath the barley to dry it. Now, not many distilleries still dry their own barley. Lafroig, we'll go to Lafroig. They have their own room where they dry their barley. They do it.
And Lafroig is so, like, you can pick Lafroig out. In a blind, you could tell me Lafroig, couldn't you?
Yep.
You know, and again, that's why I love talking about these regions, because again, we talk more about each one has their own profile, but more than any one that we've talked about, I really feel Islay, you can almost, in a blind, pick each distillery out, if just based off the profile.
What do you think about the unpeated?
Well, this...
It's almost Speyside.
Yeah.
And very honey forward.
Yes. And yeah, good note, Kurt. Very, very true.
Jeez. Who is this guy? A cameraman's taking over here.
He's doing well.
Jeez.
Cheers.
Boy, you can tell we've done 5 or 6 of these today. We got the cameraman chiming in. You're right on the button.
You're right
on the button.
Fantastic. The nose is very good. So is this why you prefer Bunnahabhain? Is just Bunnahabhain?
Bunnahabhain.
Because of the non-peated version of it?
Yeah.
Oh, this is...
And they just do a lot of interesting things. They have a lot of... And we could talk about this at a later time. I find Bunnahabhain is one of the distilleries that I can pick out the characteristic of the distillery throughout their line. Oh. Their spirit is something that I can recognize in their 12, their 18, their 25, their special editions. It's all good.
And even bourbon. So if you're a bourbon, kind of an American whiskey, Bunnahabhain is always the one that they would suggest if you want to go into the Islas. But it's not the typical Islay profile. Let's just be honest.
We love Islay so much. Let's pause here and come back and talk a little more Islay in just a couple of minutes.
I like that.
Salanja.
Salanja Var.